Peace and blessings. It is I, Rakhem Seku, and my lovely wife, my second wife, Corina Seku, in the building.
In the building.
What's happening?
What's up, boo?
We up in this piece. We are talking about.
What are we talking about?
We are talking about the second wife concept. What is it? What are we doing? How do we do it? And today we're going to talk specifically about, like, how do we make it work?
Yeah. So I think that, you know, with you and Kenya, you guys have been married for almost 30 years. And so there was a lot of, you know, and correct me if I'm wrong in the beginning, like just trial and error. Mm-hmm. And, you know, what you thought marriage was supposed to be and look like and feel like and all of those things. And then you came to the realization that none of that is true.
Yeah.
And so you had to start putting things in place kind of to protect the marriage, to protect the people inside of the marriage. And so we've done that too. And so we want to talk about some of the things that we do, that we have put in place that allow us to maintain a dope marriage.
Yeah, like one of the latest things that we did was, and we actually solicited the help of Kenya for this, was to put together some protocols and agreements and things of that nature for how we would operate inside the marriage, specifically around kind of like the open relating thing and how that works, how that looks. And that was really good. That was our first time going into detail, you know, and really flushing out a lot of stuff around open relating and all that kind of stuff. So I felt really good about that particular set of protocols and agreements. What was your thought on that?
I thought it was a good thing.
In the end,
I thought it was necessary.
So look, let's talk about, you know, kind of like where you were alluding in terms of feeling. So we had gotten to a place where we felt like we didn't really know what we were going to do in terms of our marriage, because we felt like we hit a wall
and we didn't see a way.
Yeah, we didn't
forward.
see a way forward.
Yeah,
and I don't want to say that was the first time we were at that level in terms of like hitting a major roadblock.
But like I told you, for me, it was the first time.
Yeah.
That it was like
on that level.
Yeah, that it had gotten to that point where it's like, no, there's no way to safely stay together.
Yeah. And so at the end of the day, when we talk about we put together protocols and that kind of thing, that actually helped us move forward with our marriage.
So let's talk about that, right? Because what often happens inside of a relationship, inside of a marriage, is that people's feelings get hurt. Mm-hmm. You know, things happen that you don't want to happen and that you don't want to experience, and people get triggered inside of their marriages and relationships, right? And it feels like this means that I'm not supposed to be with this person, right? And so what we try to do is look at the trigger like, well, what is this showing me about me, first of all?
Yep.
And what is this showing me about how we might need to pivot as a unit? You know, which we did. We sought counsel from, you know, our personal community. Yeah. And, you know, Kenya and Tiger, of course, are a major part of that.
Yeah.
And that was the first time we had done that too.
Yeah. I wanted you to go deeper into that, you know, because that particular day, we consulted a number of people to support us. Yeah. But talk about why were you even willing to talk to other people and what that meant to have people to support you.
So for me, I was talking to one of my sisters, and, you know, like you teach, there is a huge difference between a friend and a sister. Yeah. And I was talking to one of my sisters, and in that conversation, we were talking about our marriage and how, you know, like for me, there's just no way forward. Because we were at such an impasse. You want this and I want this, and it's, you know, there's no way to marry these two desires, right? Yeah. And I was having a conversation with her, and inside of the conversation, like I just got, you know, the awareness that it's not what he does that upsets me, it's how he does it. And so once I was able to get that awareness, then I was able to see, wait, there is a way forward. Yeah. And I don't know what it is yet, but now I know that there is a way. And so you and I had the conversation, and we decided that we were going to, seek counsel. So we sought counsel from my sister. We sought counsel from an elder, and then we sought counsel from Kenya and Tiger.
Yeah.
And so just those things, seeking the counsel of outside parties who, are able to look at it objectively, but care about you both and care about the marriage.
Yeah.
I feel like that was pivotal.
Yeah.
And our ability to be open and honest and vulnerable about where we were and how we were feeling, I feel like that was pivotal.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt like everybody who supported us gave us some really important information and perspective. Yeah. That's also a part of the community thing.
Yeah.
The benefits of community is, people around you to support you, but also to hold you accountable. And also to give you some perspective. So that was big. That was huge. So basically, out of having that kind of communal support, out of you and I being willing to get support, that's where the protocols and the agreement and all that came from.
Yeah. And I think that the willingness showed that, of course, neither of us wanted to separate. That wasn't the desire, but we just didn't know how to get past this thing.
Yeah.
And so, putting the protocols into place, for me, I feel like that was huge. And I feel like it provides for me a level of security, because people have this concept that when you get into an open relationship, everybody is great with it. There are no triggers and there's no jealousy. This just solves everything. And that's just not true.
Yeah.
And there were, definite challenges with moving forward in the open relating that really had me feeling like I was not secured as a woman, as a wife. And I feel like us being able to put these protocols into place provided that. It provided what felt to me like we're just out in the ocean and any and everything goes. It provided now their structure.
Yeah.
Where, the fact that I'm not your girlfriend, I'm not your groupie, and I'm not your fan. And, there's a way that I need to be regarded and taken care of and protected, and I feel like this structure allows for that.
Yeah. No, it's definitely helpful. One of the challenges that I had, in terms of our marriage was, not recognizing that, hey, Corina and I need to approach this, from our own perspective in terms of how we deal with our thing.
Yeah.
A lot of where I was coming from was kind of where me and Kenya had gotten to. And, a lot of that really didn't apply when it came to Corina and I. So just had to kind of take some steps backward and really just say, hey, let's look at this from a fresh set of eyes and see what we each need.
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about that I thought was huge was the fact that we both came into the marriage with our own assumptions. I had my assumptions about what a husband was and what a marriage was.
Yep.
And you had your assumptions about what a wife was and what a marriage was, and we never really discussed that. Yeah. And so you were used to being a husband in this manner. But now that you're marrying a completely different woman, who you are as a husband, to me, changes.
Yeah.
And so, I think that us going into it and putting the protocols in place was huge. But I also think that us being able to have the discussions to the degree that we were able to have them leading up to that point, because we've been together for almost 6 years. And over that time, the conversations have just gotten more and more open and more vulnerable, more and more authentic. And so I feel like us being able to move in that direction also supported us.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a separate, consideration or tool was, how we improved our communication over time.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, our communication wasn't adequate to support the relationship, let alone to support a marriage.
And then there would be triggers, and the other person wouldn't know why there was a trigger, but we never we weren't really having those discussions.
Yeah. I had mentioned in another video how, I really had to get to know you over time.
Yeah.
And, a lot of that, I was making assumptions about who you were and what our relationship was. And so, again, I had to really learn you and understand who you were as a woman and, make that adjustment. Like I can't approach you the way I approach Kenya. Yours and my marriage is different.
Yeah.
Even from an open relating standpoint. And that's actually, you had a question before in a previous video we did where you said, hey, like what's one of the challenges with having two wives? Well, one of the challenges is realizing that, hey, I can't, like whatever work Kenya and I did, it is helpful in terms of our marriage, but it doesn't translate automatically over.
Right.
We have to do our own individual work or our own work as a married couple. And so that was a new one for me. And that I had to make the adjustment because, me to a degree, me and Kenya are good in these certain areas, but that wasn't the case with us.
Yeah.
So that was a challenge. So we had a lot of tools. Communication's a big tool. We utilized up-level communication and some other communication tools. We utilized, like really putting together a nice, solid contract and agreement for ourselves. And we utilized a community to support us, especially in times of need. And, those are three things off the bat that I felt were critical in our success.
Yeah, like as far as our communication, I think that the weekly meeting has been, like setting aside this time where we know, like we're going to communicate. And like I told you when we first agreed on that, I think the big thing for me, why that's been helpful, is because when there is a trigger, and it's not like the day of our meeting, that gives me time to really process and really figure out how do I really feel? What do I really want to communicate to him? Knowing that, we're going to have this conversation. Yeah. Right. So us, like the protocols that we have put into place and the tools that we use, I feel, is the foundation for us to have a successful marriage.
Yeah. And I know people are looking at this, oh, you guys are in an open relationship, but from our standpoint, really any marriage can benefit from, what we've done. One of the things that we talk about when we teach, in our initiations and the mystery school and everything else is like these tools are universal. Like people think we're just focused on open relationships, and that's not the case. Like that's how we are relating, but we don't push that on other people. And the tools that we develop and the concepts and the spiritual concepts we develop are for all people, all walks of life. You choose how you want to apply them and how you want to live your life.
Yeah, most of the women that I support are monogamous.
Absolutely.
And utilize up-level, and it's changed the way that they communicate with their partner. A lot of the women, since I told them about our, set meeting every week to have this, to make sure that we are focused on each other and make sure that we are communicating about anything that has come up and anything that, we need to talk about or whatever, a lot of them have put that in place. And these are monogamous couples. Yep. And so, no, it's not about, your relationship structure. The fact of the matter is most monogamous couples don't have a powerful communication tool, or most monogamous couples don't sit down and create protocols that, the purpose is to protect the marriage and protect the people inside of it. Yeah. Most couples are, like I said before, they're kind of like just out in the middle of the ocean floating and hoping that, they'll hit land and everything will be good. But, that's one of the things that we believe is necessary, is that people take responsibility for their relationships and how you want your relationship to go, and not just, be out there winging it on a hope and a prayer that things go well. Yeah,
absolutely. I just feel like one of the dangers of monogamy is people kind of assume like this is just natural and easy, and
that open relating is natural and easy.
No, that monogamy. I think people feel that because that people feel monogamy is like the way to relate and the natural way to relate. I feel like they don't actually pursue tools for success.
Yeah, they're operating under that assumption.
Yes.
You know, that it's easy, like you said, it's easy, and this is how people do it, and this is just, you know, what happens, and so yeah, it'll be easy for us to do it, and it's not. No relationship is easy.
Yeah, like I feel with open relating, at least you kind of know like it's going to be challenging, and you know you need to do something more than likely, whether it's communication or whatever.
Yeah.
I just feel in monogamy, like most couples just don't think they need to do any additional work or preparation or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I think even in open relating, you know, like people, I think that in all relationships, people come in with their own preconceived notions and their own beliefs and their own stories and all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, like people go into open relating thinking, you know, like we talked about in another video that, you know, this is going to solve the jealousy and this is going to solve or we might have talked about it earlier in this video. You know, it's going to solve the insecurities, and this is going to be easy because I know that my partner's with other people and my partner knows that I'm with other people. And that's where the problem starts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you think that is easy. And even if you do have like a predilection to open relating, you know what I mean? Like once you get into it and emotions get involved and, you know, sex gets involved, like it's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not as easy as people think it is, just like monogamy is not as easy as people think it is.
You know, I'll push back on you with that. I don't feel people inside open related and polyamory think it's easy.
I think they do.
I
think that you see that because of the community that you've built, you know, and so you're around people who are learning and utilizing the tools. You know, in large part, not completely, but, you know, I think that people in open relating are just as delusional as people in monogamy.
I feel that, you know, like, so forget like, you know, people I talk to or deal with. I just see a lot of polyamorous communities and a lot of, you know, people talking about, you know, what's required for success. And like, I just see a lot of groups around polyamory and open relating who are like really trying to focus on like how do we do this.
Yeah.
The delusion I feel comes in. I do feel that there are people who are in monogamy who feel polyamory is going to be a solution to their situation, like they haven't had success inside monogamy, and so people are looking for solutions. And I feel a lot of people feel that polyamory is going to be the solution or open relating is going to be the solution, and that's definitely not the case. But most people that I've even witnessed or observed inside the polyamorous community, like they know it's going to be a challenge. You know what I'm saying? They know that you got to read books. Like very few people I know enter polyamory without reading a book. I would say most people go into a monogamous situation without ever reading a book or watching a video. I just feel people understand like this is going to be difficult. Now, again, I know there's people who come in from monogamy who think poly is going to be a solution, and they're delusional. But most people I've observed in the poly community at least know they got to figure something out, or read something, or take something. I've not seen that many people come into poly and not be a part of a group or support group or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And even if you do all that, it's still exponentially more difficult than anything you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and maybe we just are exposed to different schools of people because, probably. You know, like I said, of course I see people who come in and, you know, they're doing the teachings and learnings and, you know, reading the books and whatever. But a lot of people that I see who are attempting to embrace polyamory or open relating are running from traumas.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, so.
But I feel, again, that's what people do in regular relationships.
Yeah.
You know, like that's one of the challenges I have in my coaching practice is a lot of people are just running away from themselves. You know, I had a consultation today where I was like, well, the issue is, you know, you lack self-love and you're trying to find it in your partner. Yeah. And this is never going to work. Yeah. It's got nothing to do with whether you're poly or mono. Like people use relationships, in my opinion, as a crutch. Yeah. As opposed to two people coming together like in just 100% in their power and their self-love and like building together from that standpoint. So, you know, it's a growth thing. And it's a lot of discussion. Yeah. You know, but, you know, we're here to talk about it. We're here to share. So we appreciate you all being here. We're going to talk more about our second wife series. But, you know, in the meantime, take time to like and subscribe, you know, follow us, hit the bell, and we hope to see you all in the next video. Peace and blessings.
Peace out.